Good morning and hello. So many conversations on failure. Yesterday I did 2 interviews. Today I've got 2 more interviews on the books. But I think those of you who know me know that I am a coach, and each day, Monday through Friday, I host a group called Raw, Reawakening Wisdom. And it's a place for us to talk about anything that's coming up for us creatively, spiritually, emotionally. It's a pretty amazing group. I highly recommend joining. We do our morning pages. I pull cards. We have time to talk about things that are coming up for us. And today in my second Raw group, because I do 2 different groups each morning, we ended up talking about failure. We ended up talking about ugly babies, birthing babies, and birthing babies is a metaphor for birthing our creative projects in the world. And once they come out, they can be judged by the world. And we talked about failure assessments. And I don't think we necessarily need a failure assessment, but alignment assessments. Are we aligned with what's truly important in our lives? And how to know if we're misaligned with what's really important for us. And talking about finding out whether or not to be able to recognize when we're failing. And the most important time to recognize when we're failing is if we are misaligned with our values, our own personal values, our own personal purpose. And so we were talking about, how can we identify when we are failing? How do we identify when we are misaligned with what's really important to us? And my friend Christy Soper was talking about it's like a life ROI, right? And when is there that alarm bell happening in the back of our heads telling us that something is wrong? And how long does it take for us to listen to it? That's really important. Are we not listening to that alarm bell in our head telling us that something's wrong, stop. That can be a big failure. And so we talked also about how we don't want to fail slowly, right? Especially in Christy was talking about in project management. When you think about a project, you have to build in guideposts in that project management of whatever it is that you're doing. And within those guideposts, you have to build in time when you're thinking about a project to fail. So not paying attention to those guideposts and whether or not you've met them is the bigger problem, because you lose more time if you don't have those guideposts, you don't have those checks for yourself in your life. And then all of a sudden you get to the end of this project and you haven't checked in, and you find out that you've been failing for a really long time, that you want to fail fast so that you can iterate and change and move directions to find out whether or not there's a failure. So building in room for failure. And it's where in our lives have we built in room for failure? So not just a project or entrepreneurship, but thinking about, do we give ourselves time to check in and find out if we are in alignment with what is truly important to us? So for me, hosting Raw in the morning is, Christine said loves that. Definitely been there with projects before. Yeah, right. And you kind of feel it in the pit of your stomach, I think. If you haven't built in the guideposts, you kind of feel when you're failing, and then when you get to the end and it is all over, right? And you've failed. But I think about it with life too. In both interviews that I did yesterday, we talked about a lot of times the things that look like major failures to other people are actually the time when we're coming back into alignment with ourselves, and that's actually a win. And so when I host Raw in the morning, that time for us to, why I do morning pages, why I provide space for other people to do morning pages with the reawakening, this gives that space and that time to actually decide whether or not we are in alignment with ourselves. So that's what's coming up in this failure piece that I just wanted to share with everyone. And I think that there are a couple different kinds of failures, and I don't exactly know what they all are. I think there's a lot of different kinds of failures. And the first failure I think about is that there's failure with a little f and failure with a big F. So the failure with a little f are those little stumblings that nobody sees but us. So those times when we feel like we are doing things that are failing, like writing a whole bunch of stuff that we know will never see the light of day before we publish something. And then there's the big F failures, the failures that are public, where we have like birthed it into the world and other people can judge it for what they think it is, whether and so that's an interesting thing. Like the big F failures are things that other people can see. So being able to honor being able to honor those for what they are and come back into alignment with ourselves when that is necessary and when that's important. So yeah, there are lots of stuff coming up in this. I want to hear what you all have to say about it, what you all think about this. If you are looking for a place to find out if you are really in alignment with what's important to you in your life, then join us for Raw. So that's what's up. I'd love to hear from all of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Oh my God, I'm learning so much on this journey, and I'm having a lot of fun taking you all along for the ride with me. I hope you're having fun too. All right, talk to you soon.